Who is it?
Screal.
Say it with your chest.
Screal.
Come in. Screw, how you doing, brother?
All is well.
Great. Welcome to the Say It With Your Chest podcast. Man, you have to tell me about how are you an advocate for the community and your accomplishments and the things that you do that impact other people, because we are having brother who you're close with. So am I, Jewel Jones, former state representative, on the show next week, and he was like, you gotta have this guy on the show. And I'm like, who is this guy? And he was telling me a little bit about yourself, but can you explain? You tell me about yourself.
Yeah. First off, I'm an Inkster native.
Okay.
You know, I'm not gonna say born because we don't got no hospital.
All right.
But raised in Inkster. I'm a black man and I'm a father. But most importantly as well, I love my people.
Yeah.
You know, grew up in Inkster, Michigan, a small village, which gave me more of an identity of that unity, family. You know, came to the big city in the city of Detroit at 18, and just was mind blown. You know, it was like going to New York. You know, from a small city. Yeah, nightlife. You know, I was a party promoter. You know, worked in corporate America and one of the biggest telecommunication companies. So you know, I went inside of everybody's house. I seen how people live. You know, I seen how people socialized. But I got to see a different perspective because I started going into the rural communities as well,
right,
and seeing the same thing,
right.
And so that gave me more of a self-identity and pride for my people, and what we can become for our community. So that drove me down my activism, you know, roles, to really start looking into the Kwame Toure's, the Stokely Carmichael, you know, looking at Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. I'm more of a Malcolm X person.
Why would you say that?
Martin, you know, very powerful brother.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up in the church as well.
Okay.
But they don't talk about Martin transitioning into a life and role. He grew up in the church.
Yeah.
It wasn't a life of street grit, you know.
Like Malcolm. Right.
So, you know, I grew up, you know, had the hustling side of the family, had the church side of the family. I love being over the hustling side of the family.
Yeah.
Didn't like going to church all the time.
Absolutely.
Then tried to go my road, you know, in community and figure out my lane and trying to do things as well. So I resonate more with Malcolm X. And then coming to find out, Malcolm X transitioned his life in Inkster. So a lot of people don't know when he was Detroit Red, he didn't stay in Detroit. He actually stayed in Inkster. Yeah. And he stayed right outside of one of the worst projects in the city of Inkster, Baby Saigon. And so, you know, just to see him being able to elevate his mind, like now, understanding the environment that he was in, and how he was able to elevate his mind and elevate his consciousness to change society as well. And he had to commute from Inkster to Detroit. And, you know, I was doing the same thing. So I became more of like that Malcolm X, Detroit Red type of guy. And
could you say you could kind of relate to him because he actually not only knew both sides of the coins, but he lived and experienced both sides of the coin?
No, that's factual for sure.
Yeah,
I definitely lived and experienced both sides of those coins, just like he has.
And what made you say, you know what, I'd rather go right than left?
So I witnessed my best friend get murdered at 20 years old in the streets of Detroit. It took me down a rabbit hole where, you know, mental health played a big role. I lost my job. I slept on my grandma's couch. My family kept telling me, hey, you need to get back to work. You're 20 years old. You know, I've been living on my own since 18. So what that took me, it took me a minute to get my bearings back together, but I still wasn't healed, right? I was still dealing with the PTSD. I was still dealing with a lot of the anxiety, but I had to go back to work so I can survive and defend for myself again as a man, as a young man. And then Trayvon Martin happened. And I was working in the rural communities. And I remember working in West Bloomfield, and I was seeing all these mansions. And you know, you driving. You sometimes, you know, as a black person, we go through those neighborhoods and we dream. You know,
absolutely.
So I'm in a house dreaming, like, oh my gosh, we could. This is
Attainable.
It's attainable.
Yeah.
We can do this. And I remember pulling up to one of the residents that I was serving, and I went to the front door, and the lady came to the front door, and she said, "Oh, okay, come to the other entrance, the mud room." And I went to the mud room, and I'm like, okay. I put on my booties, what we have to do to come in the house, and then she walked me right past the front door to go to the problem.
Right.
And I looked, I say, "Oh, I'm not welcomed here." I said, usually I go through front doors all the time, but this specific person didn't allow me to come into her front door.
Yeah.
She told me to go through the service entrance,
Right.
which was the mud room. So I started picking up the language and the demeanors, and that really sparked and woke me up because I'm the oldest of 4. And so I'm thinking about my younger siblings, younger black men and a younger black woman growing up in this racial society that don't comprehend what's actually happening in times right now. And that really drove me to this passion and this implementation into my community to say, like, hey, we got to really defend for ourselves and build our own communities. We can commingle, but we got to have our own.
Right. And it's nothing like having your own, but that experience where she showed you that she didn't feel that you were good enough to walk in her front door. How did that make you feel?
It hit. It I wasn't sad though. It really empowered me because literally 2 weeks later, I was doing a job in Royal Oak, downtown Royal Oak area. I can't remember the gentleman's name at the time, but I was serving doing a service, a repair, and his wife was home. He wasn't home, and his wife called him right when technician is here, and whatever she said, he got there speedy fast. And he kept walking me around, like everywhere I needed to go. He kept following me around the house. Now the house is beautiful, a lot of antique, valuable art. Like I'm looking like, oh my gosh, it's a beautiful home.
Yeah.
And I'm being inspired.
Right.
But the problem in this situation was in his room, and so at the TV in his room, and he was just looking over my shoulder, and I was really getting aggravated that he was just standing there the whole time because I just dealt with a circumstance earlier. And we actually had a conversation while I was trying to repair the problem, and I couldn't fix it. And I told him, I said, hey, unfortunately, I can't fix this problem because of these circumstances. And after that, he took me down to the kitchen, and he was like, do you want to be a technician your whole life? And I said, you know what? I don't. Honestly, this is what I do, and this is what I love to do.
This is a Caucasian guy.
This is a Caucasian guy from California. He gave me, he opened up his kitchen drawer and gave me his business card. At the time, he was the president of Olympia Entertainment. This is before all this was developed.
Yeah.
And he told me, he was like, this is what I do. This is why I'm here. My first promotion, because I was a party promoter. He said my first gig I did at 16, before the Beatles was even the Beatles, I booked them.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow. And this was just casual conversation.
Yeah.
So if you don't have these, you don't know who you're around.
Right.
But you gotta speak things into existence. And that really sparked that more conversation of like, you know what? We gotta start having more conversations in the community.
Yeah.
And really understanding who is who and what we want to see and what we want to do. And that led me more into like coming back into the city, going back to those who I grew up with, rather than just staying focused on work or going to the clubs and partying. I started having more intentional conversations with my peers. Like, what do you want to see in the community?
Yeah.
Like, what are we gonna just pass it up like the elders did us? Or are we going to build and pass it back down? And so those drove those type of conversations.
And what would you say will be your biggest accomplishment, personally and professionally?
Personally,
Thus this far.
Personally, actually becoming a father, man. Legacy. I'm actually grieving at the same time. I just lost my father.
Sorry to hear that.
So we'll be putting him to rest. But it was times, doing my activist work and understanding COINTELPRO, understanding history, and the black movement. And, I fought 2 police brutality cases, one in Detroit, one in Chicago. Both went to trial and won. But it was times where I didn't think that I would continue the legacy. I didn't know if I would make it the next day,
right.
Because the fight for black empowerment and freedom is vicious.
Yeah.
And with inside America, not just here in Detroit, but nationally and internationally as well, And so becoming a father, I really feel is one of my proudest moments. And professionally, I would say becoming a serial entrepreneur. I'm invested in a lot of businesses, and I invest intentionally into businesses that black ownership is less than 1% of. So I have a partnership with a black-owned spirits company from Grand Rapids. I'm also investing into a mental health gym.
Nice.
Non-invasive inception. And then Takers Gaming is an esports, state-of-the-art esports facility in Livonia in Laurel Park Mall.
Nice.
And so, these are industries. We see a liquor store in every corner.
Yeah, absolutely.
In our community, but we don't own none of the products that's on that show.
I gotta agree with you.
We don't own the liquor stores, but one of the intentional things that we need to look at if we're looking at economics and what I've seen in the community is, hey, we don't have the capital to buy the store, but we can make the products that go on those store shelves. And guess what? We get paid first. They got to sell it.
Right.
Even if they don't sell it, we got paid.
Yeah.
So that was me getting into the spirits industry.
Okay.
Right. And the mental health, my journey, still going through my healing journey, still, every day it's traumatic experiences that happens every day. So you would never be fully healed. But going through this healing journey, I wanted to make sure that it's more of a non-invasive type of modalities in healing that we can do rather than getting on pharmaceuticals, prescriptions, all these different things, it's that traditional way, especially looking at how, in the 90s and 99, what John Engler did to all the mental health institutes.
Yeah.
And what they was doing at Eloise, right there outside of Inkster,
Right.
So it just learning the history, I wanted to make sure that we make a shift and not continue to repeat certain things. So professionally, it's becoming a serial entrepreneur and still understanding this journey of what entrepreneurship is and how to legally operate within inside. Like, this not just gonna be a hustle,
right? This
is gonna be legacy,
absolutely
expanding years for my children, family legacies, like other nationalities and family names that's out here as well.
I love it. I love it. You referenced a few times about healing. Is it fair to say that us as black men, we don't aggressively or intentionally seek help, knowing that we need to be healed?
No, that's true. That's true. As a black man, you don't want to cry at all in front of nobody, right? Because they look at somebody might look at that as weak. Because I remember growing up, true story, riding a bike. All my friends was older than me.
Yeah.
Riding my bicycle, racing. My mom told me don't race your bike. I just got a brand new 10-speed bike. Racing one of my friends. He ended up cutting me off in the race.
Yeah.
Because I was winning.
Yeah.
He ended up cutting me off, and I actually ran into a light pole in my neighbor's front yard, and I wrapped myself around that light pole, and I remember clear as day. I'm spinning around a light pole like a hula loop, and I came down. My bike came down on me, and all I could do was cry.
Right.
And I remember my mom came out, and she said, "Boy, if you don't stop crying like a girl," punched me dead in my chest.
Yeah.
Right then and there, I had to suck it up. I couldn't cry. My mama told me don't cry like a girl.
Right.
Right? So that took me down the process of every traumatic experience. I couldn't cry.
Yeah, and so we have a different experience with that, right? I was raised in a single-parent household by my father, though. And my father taught and told me it was okay to cry. And then I remember as a young fella in church, the pastor said one time, he said, if you weren't supposed to cry, God wouldn't have gave you tear ducts. And so at the end of the day, I believe crying sometimes can be therapeutic,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's all you can do. And so I do believe it's a stigma. And as a young black boy growing up, particularly in the urban area, city of Detroit, Inkster, you don't cry. Like you don't do that. But I was always told and taught it's okay if you have to do it. And so I was never one for just boo-hooing, but I also understood that sometimes that's all I'm gonna be able to do.
Yeah, yeah. And I learned that as I progressed and got older. I remember one time it was in my mid-20s. It was around my mid-20s. I had a spiritual life changing thing that occurred, and what really resolved that was that I went into a deep prayer and I cried. And once I opened my eyes again, everything around me was brighter than I ever seen it. The colors was
Amen.
beautiful. And I was in the city. I was actually staying on 7 Mile in Blackstone.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
That's in the city.
The grass over there, I was like, whoa, what is this? I haven't seen grass like this since I was a little kid, because people don't take care of their grass.
Yeah. Not no more. Like when it was back in the day. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So the colors, the houses were so beautiful. You know, the paint wasn't deteriorated on the houses and all those different things. So, you know, I really even telling my son, you know, I tell him it's okay to cry.
Yeah.
But you got about 10 minutes. Like, you got 10 minutes to get it out. And sometimes use other emotions as well, other expressions.
Yeah,
you don't
absolutely.
Use your words. Be verbal.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't just cry because you know I'm gonna attend to you.
Yeah.
Talk to me as well. You don't always have to use that emotion. It's other ways to express yourself in this time. So, you know, that definitely showed me as I've been developing now and still learning as well.
And it's strange. It's funny you said that, so like I said, my father always told me it was okay to cry. Sometimes that's all I'm gonna be able to do. But then the few times I got a whooping, he said, "Shut up that crying. You whooping me. Nah, I can't cry. You said it's okay to cry, but you whooping me. Nah, I don't cry." Yeah. That don't even go together. But if you can give one piece of advice to the younger you right now, what would it be?